Jambo, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Safari Mack Returns to Africa. I'm Safari Mack, your guide and host, helping you make connections to the wild. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are still in the land of Tsavo, but we have come upon this ancient railway bridge, which, unfortunately, its construction and story does harbor a terrifying and a horrifying secret that involves death and man-eaters. But now, in a way, what is considered to be the definition of a man-eater? Well, in a way to say it bluntly, man-eaters are what some would consider to be a creature of nightmare, something that is brought on that brings horror to one's every waking moment, especially when within their natural habitat. But now, it's not just one man-eater, because throughout the centuries, many man-eating animals have made their mark in human history. From lions, tigers, bears, leopards, you name it. Many animals. And I can tell you what, the list would go on, but if I said them all, we'd probably be here all day. Today, we are going to look into the lives of the Tsavo man-eating lions, the story, the lions themselves, what made them turn man-eater, and Tsavo's lions that presently live today. But before we begin, if you're new to my channel, hit that like and subscribe button, check out my Facebook page, and if you have a question or an animal request in the future, send me an email, which you'll always find the link to down in the description below. But if you're ready, let's get started. Now, let's talk first about the Tsavo man-eating lions themselves. Now, at the turn of the 20th century, more specifically, 1898, a man by the name of Colonel John Patterson, who in the famous movie The Ghost in the Darkness is portrayed by Val Kilmer, may he rest in peace. This is the real Colonel. He was commissioned by the Uganda Railway in London to construct a bridge over the Tsavo River that, as we know, is in present Kenya. Now, arriving in March, for the next 9 months, this man was haunted by these two maneless male lions that constantly were killing many of the African and Indian laborers that were working on the bridge. So many lives were lost. Popularly, and according to his book on the Tsavo man-eating lions, the Colonel claims that these lions killed well over 100 people. But today we think that maybe that number is just a little over-exaggerated. They still killed, and as a result, we think that maybe it was probably less than maybe 45. But either way, it caused these people so many problems and so many horrors. Nobody wanted to work. They were all scared to death. They did everything to try to deter the lions. They created boomas, which are really thornberry bushes, which have very thick thorns that will make you bleed for a while, similar to the thorns that you find on an acacia tree. They built fires. They built traps. They did a hunt. They did everything that they could. But for 9 grueling months, these lions were unstoppable until December 9th, when the first man-eating lion, which is this guy on the left, this man on the left, was shot, and then 3 weeks later, the second lion was finally killed. And boy, like I said, you probably are thinking, I bet you wish you could have been there for that hunt. Probably not. Now, that's the story of the Tsavo man-eating lions. Today you can find them on display at Chicago's Field Museum. But let's talk about the real lions themselves now, about not just their story, but those that are alive today. Now, to begin though, I want you to take a really good look at this male lion, right? This is a male lion in his prime. Now, this is what a male Tsavo lion looks like. Now, you're probably thinking he looks a little bit like Scar, or he doesn't look like a fully grown male lion. Isn't he a sub-adult? Because Yes, this is typically what a subadult male lion or a male lion at 2 years of age would look like, just when they're about to be kicked out of the pride by their father. But this truly is how a fully grown male lion in Tsavo appears. Now, people are often have thought maybe for the longest time until I did research myself when I was a boy, I thought that those Tsavo lions were females because obviously they lacked that beautiful mane. But it turns out that the lions living in Tsavo appear to be almost completely maneless, looking like more like a female, or have a little bit of a mane, but it's not as glorious as other male lions. It's thought that maybe the mane development is more closely linked to temperature and the climate because in Tsavo it is hot. And I mean like hot, hot. And so they think maybe this is an adaptation for them to stay cool. While another alternative theory says that it could be due to the thorny vegetation within the area. As you can see, if you have a regular maned lion in the area, all these thorns would be kind of difficult for them to navigate. Now, I'm sure the biggest question is, why did these maneless males turn man-eater? Well, there have been many theories. When I was a boy, growing up in my zoo, there was a little diorama of the Tsavo lions that was called Tsavo, the lunatic line. And one theory held that elephants, as we know, are a keystone species. What they do affects the environment of all around. As they eat many different vegetation, they help to create new pathways that not just elephants, but other animals use on their migration route. But at the same time when this bridge was being created, the ivory trade was in high demand. And as we shot more elephants, the landscape kind of suffered. And as a result, the prey animals like zebras or gazelles that the lions naturally rely on would get those paths would get overcrowded again by those thorny bushes, and as a result, the original food source would be cut off. That was one theory. Another theory suggests that because there were Asian and African workers on this project, as they died, they would put their bodies down on the river, and it's thought that the corpses allowed the lions to first scavenge before they begin to develop a taste for human flesh by actively hunting them. Another theory suggests that at the same time, a virus called renderpest, which is found in livestock, more specifically cattle, also affected the natural prey animals in the area. Those are a number of theories. But then back in 2017, a study was done at the Chicago Field Museum based on one of the lion's actual teeth. They discovered that the tooth was infected with a bad disease, and as a result, the lions were not able to effectively hunt the natural prey like they used to, and instead start turning on the humans for food. So one thing that we need to remember about man-eaters, they're not born this way. They have to learn somewhere along the line that humans are easy to hunt and kill. And what we humans have to remember, despite us being a pretty awesome force of being able to hunt and being able to conquer the world, the problem is we're not really that awesome of a force. Yes, we've done a lot of different things, but we are just another animal. So that leaves us with a question. What have we learned from this entire story? Of course, we know man-eater attacks always grow big headlines, whether it's lions or tigers or any other animal. But truthfully, snakes and mosquitoes tend to kill thousands more. Now, generally, they will turn man-eater for a number of reasons. Lack of, too old, too sick, too injured to hunt natural prey. We are right to fear them. But the animal kingdom does certainly have more cause to fear us. So, for next week's episode, we're going to return on a lighter note by visiting the red-billed hornbill. But until next week, this is Safari Mac. I'll see you all out there.